Moving on, Indian-American Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley has vowed that if voted to power, she'll cut every cent in foreign aid for countries like China, Pakistan and Iraq, which hate America, saying a strong America doesn't pay off the bad guys. The 51-year-old two-term governor of South Carolina and a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations formally launched her 2024 presidential bid earlier this month. Nikki Haley, who launched her bid on the 26th of February, commented that debt-laden Pakistan is in the pocket of China like Zimbabwe. This is soon after Pakistan's Finance Minister Ishaq Dar announced on the 24th of this month that State Bank of Pakistan received funds worth $700 million from the China Development Bank. Expressing her opinion on the Chinese dominance in nations in form of debt, Nikki Haley took to a microblogging website and wrote, "Belarus in the pocket of Russia, Zimbabwe in the pocket of China, Pakistan in the pocket of China, cut all their aid."
The number one thing I would do is stop giving foreign aid to our enemies. We give $46 billion in foreign aid. You're basically talking about $1 billion going to Iraq, who's basically dealing with the Iranians who are saying death to America. You're giving $2 billion to Pakistan, who are harboring terrorists trying to kill our soldiers. You're giving $500 million to Zimbabwe, the most anti-American African country there is. You look at China. We're giving China money for the environment. Are you kidding? We shouldn't be giving them a single penny. When I am president, we will no longer give foreign aid to our enemies. We will stop that. We'll start being smart and we'll start being strong again.
So that's Nikki Haley. How does that augur well for Bharat? Or does that mean that increasingly you will have positions taken by leaders across the world against Pakistan for India? What are the dynamics of this? Professor Brahma Chalani and Anang Mittal with me. Namaste and Jai Hind. Thank you very, very much for joining us. I just quickly want to tell you, Professor Brahma Chalani, that reports suggest that Haley is actually leading against President Joe Biden in a hypothetical match according to the latest opinion poll on Friday. But she trails badly against leading GOP candidate, that is former President Trump. So she's behind Trump and DeSantis internally among the Republicans, but she's more favorable than Joe Biden. Professor Brahma Chalani. But calling out Pakistan and China, how important is that?
Biden's popularity has been declining, but Nikki Haley may still be a long shot to the presidency. Yet what she says makes a lot of sense. Trump reversed 45-year U.S. policy of aiding China's rise. And with bipartisan support, he designated China as a strategic rival and threat. This was a major shift, a paradigm shift in America's China policy. And Trump also cut off security aid to Pakistan for not severing its ties with terrorist groups. But unfortunately, what has happened is that Biden has reversed the policy of his predecessor to keep Pakistan at arm's length. He has resumed America's coddling of Pakistan. He has resumed U.S. aid to Pakistan. And no less significantly, Biden is pursuing a more conciliatory approach toward China. The issue for India is this, why is America unable to kick its habit of coddling Pakistan? The Biden administration not only has resumed aid flow to Pakistan, it helped Pakistan secure an IMF bailout. An IMF bailout in a way also bails out China, because more than 1/3 of Pakistan's external debt is to China. So when IMF bails out Pakistan, it's in a way bailing out the creditor, China. And on top of that, the Biden administration is modernizing Pakistan's F-16 fleet in order to make it more lethal against India. So all this doesn't make sense from a U.S. strategic standpoint, given the fact that even in relation to India, which is a close partner of America, it doesn't make sense for the U.S. to shore up Pakistan, to aid it even militarily and financially. And the Biden policy on China lacks clarity. It lacks clear goals. And all that is worrying for India, because India is placed in a very difficult regional environment.
Well, she's further added, Anang Mittal, we need to watch China because I think they're going to see, we are going to see China make a move for Bagram Air Force Base. I think they're also making a move in Afghanistan and trying to use Pakistan to get stronger to go against India. So we have got a lot of issues. This is what she said, Anang.
Yes, I mean, I think as far as campaign rhetoric, I think it's good rhetoric. It will play well with the Republicans. I think Americans as a whole have always been skeptical of foreign aid, but that does not mean that Americans actually want to cut off foreign aid. And having served in the Senate, I just want to be a bit realistic about her campaign promises. Like I said, it's good red meat for the Republican Party. But I think once, even if she becomes president, the Senate requires 2/3 vote on treaty and foreign aid sort of programs, and so she will have to fight the appropriations and authorization bills that usually send foreign aid to these countries. And let's be real, China, Pakistan, and many other countries lobby the U.S. government for foreign aid, and I think that's, foreign aid is always a part of U.S. strategic foreign policy, and so on that side, I would want to put a little bit of cold water on this, heated campaign rhetoric. And Nikki Haley is also taking some heat from Republicans who are opposed to Ukrainian aid, while she is supporting the U.S. government and the Biden administration's programs in Ukraine. So I think it's a good triangulation on her part to make sure that the Republicans sort of support her. But then she also sort of is seen by many of the Trumpy Republicans as being too friendly or too much of a neocon, too much of an establishment Republican. But yes, I do think that China and Pakistan are making a play for the Democrats who are more friendly to them. And I think that is going to be an ongoing battle amongst the Republican and Democrat parties as the campaign heats up. But I think it's very unlikely that full aid to Pakistan or full aid to China will ever be cut off properly, because, as I said, all of these governments lobby lawmakers and lobby the Senate and the House, and so that is very, very hard to actually get done in the legislative sense.
I've got 90 seconds more, and Professor Brahma Chalani, when she calls out China making a move for the Bagram Air Base, is India aware of this threat? Because we need to look beyond their whole rhetoric to what strategically could compromise our interests.
When the Taliban was in power earlier in the 90s, China enjoyed a close relationship with the Taliban regime. In fact, on the day 9/11 happened, there was a Chinese delegation in Kandahar, the Taliban's stronghold, signing 2 major deals with the Taliban regime. And now the Taliban are back in power. China is resuming its ties with the Taliban regime. It has signed a major minerals deal with that regime.
Yes.
And it's seeking greater access to certain strategic bases, including Bagram. Bagram would, of course, be the jewel in the crown. But it's seeking, for example, it has already persuaded Tajikistan to allow it to build a base on the Tajik-Afghan border. So any kind of access to an Afghan military base, especially to Bagram, would position China very strongly and would pose a major threat to India.
Right. Well, thank you for your inputs, Professor Brahma Chalani and Anang Mittal. We'll continue to keep close tabs. It's a long way. The US presidency